everyone. Welcome back to She Blurs Podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Nichelle, and today's guest is Kimberly Ward. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, good
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you for having me.
So, I wanted to start out by you telling our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay, that could take a while. I promise to make it short. People who know me pretty well know I'm a talker. My mom was a teacher. She's a retired teacher. My dad did sales, so no issue talking in the family. Okay, but I grew up in a town called Lucama, North Carolina. It's a very small town, and it's in Wilson County. It's about an hour from Raleigh.
Oh,
And we lived there. I say we, then my parents just did sell their property a year ago. I lived there probably about 17 years,
oh,
and
nice.
so I still call that home, even though they did actually just sell the land about a year ago. I get a little teary eyed.
Oh,
My parents, I guess you could say, moved towards me, I say about 10 or 11 years ago. Now, I actually have lived in a couple of states. I lived in California and South Carolina, but besides all where I've lived and what I've done, that would take a while. I like to write, sing, play the piano, talk about God, music, and my
yeah.
life, and have fun.
Nice. So before we came on here, you was wanting to speak a little bit about your past and what inspired music you to become a musician.
Okay, now I'm not going to go over all these. I promise. I brought a few of my notebooks, and so I will just so you can see how busy I've been the last 8 or 9 years, and these are only four. I have like 10 of these.
Oh wow.
All right,
Wow.
so you're asking what inspired me to write songs?
Yes, ma'am.
It sums it up pretty well. Just my life experiences and a lot of disappointments I've had. And I'll be very real with you. Very real. Keep it real, they say in the world when you see people go live or do their videos. I'm going to keep it real. I wasn't happy in some of the jobs I had. I wasn't treated very good in some of them, not all of them. And when I mean jobs, I mean some clerical jobs, the school I worked at. It's a lot.
Wow.
I'm going to estimate I've had 16 jobs. But before you're like, oh my goodness, some of those 16 jobs included like being a nanny for a family. I worked at a camp in Wyoming one summer. It's just a lot of things I've done.
Wow.
It's like medical billing. I worked in a bank. I worked in a school, a college. And the list is a long list, but the real reality is by the time I was about 31 years old, I really wasn't super happy at most of the jobs I had.
Mhm.
And I had already, well, I take that back. I was just about to finish college right at age 31.
Oh.
Because I had actually started when I was 19, went 2 years, worked some, went back, got married, all kinds of things happened. And then I went back and finished college. So
Nice.
that's kind of a brief summary there and 12 years of things.
And that's all that inspired your music?
It did because, well, let me back up and tell you, I play the piano. I don't know if you knew that, but I wasn't even really writing songs at age 29, 30, 31. I had just started to do, well, had been writing poetry. I shouldn't say just started writing poetry, but I knew I liked to write. And I'll make this short, I promise. By the time I worked as a tutor for a college for 2 years, and it wasn't just English, it was like accounting and business classes. And well, that was a little bit after age 31 because I had to finish, obviously. My first child was born about that time. A lot of things happened back to back, especially ages 30 to 33. I mean, a lot. That'd be a 2-hour session.
Oh wow.
A lot of things happened back to back because I had waited a long time to be a mom. I waited a long time to finish college. Just a lot of things. We also bought a house, the first home. I mean, that's only a couple of things. But unfortunately, some of the major things started happening that were serious in my life between starting around age 32 and a few years later. So all of that, I'm going to answer your question, but all of that happened. And of course, college is great, baby, a home, life, a career, but I wasn't super, super happy except being a mom. I love that part. but other things were not making me happy. So I was like, I'm going to go back to piano. I had a few piano students then,
Oh,
which I've actually almost, I won't say always, but for many years I had a few piano students, even if I had a full-time job.
nice.
So I've taught 7 or 8 years, part-time mostly. I don't
Nice.
right now because I've had some things I'm doing the last year or two. So anyway, all that to tell you, that's when I became officially writing songs by age 32, 33, and just wanting to do what makes me happy, what I like to do, what's fun. So
That's good. So, what was some, if you don't mind me asking, what was some of the traumas that you had to overcome to get you to do your music career? If you don't mind me
you know, I
asking,
love
you don't have to talk about it, but
well, I have more than 5 examples. We'd be here 2 hours, but I'm gonna give you just a couple. Some of, and this is at the top of the list. I'll give you one of the main ones was overcoming negativity. I didn't really think 4 or 5 years, 6 years ago, oh my goodness, everything is so negative, or people, or their mouth, or the supervisor, or whatever. I was getting negative from church too. I hate to tell you, I'm a very real,
wow.
honest person. I mean, not everyone was negative. That would not be good. But I did get that at pretty much, I'm going to go like this, like my bracelet. The bracelet's on. Anyway, right, I had it on. Anyway, so all areas of my life, which sounds terrible, but it's just true, we're getting very negative. I'm making that face, except being a mom, okay? So I enjoyed that part, and it's busy, and I'd waited a long time to have a baby. I wasn't like 18 or 19. I was a little bit older. And by the way, one of those reasons I'm going to make you laugh is because my mom had been a teacher 29 years. I heard all these stories, moms, dads, kids, stepkids. And I was like, well, great. I don't want to have a baby when I'm 19 or 20. I'm going to go to college and work for a while. Oh, if you had your mom every day, every couple of weeks telling you stories, you're like, oh, God. And plus, I really wasn't really dating much. I'm just being real. I enjoyed what I was doing and working in school, saving money, making money. But anyway, back to that negativity started happening, and I'm going to just come out and say it. Now, a few people I know personally, they ever hear this, may be like, oh, why'd you say that? Or, well, I like to be free. I've written about 7 songs on the topic of freedom.
Oh.
And there's, I'm sure there'll be more coming, but I can't say there's just 5 or 6 or 7. It could be 20. I don't know right now. Okay, I mean, it's not like I had a goal in life to write 15 songs on freedom, but because of things that happened, I'll go ahead and list the main one that started. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. One of the main ones that happened is the man I married has schizophrenia. Okay, and I'm sure later on, people who hear this or they know me, or they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that on live. I'm like, well, the reality is that was what happened. I didn't know it when I married him. I'm going to breathe some. People began to ask me questions. And I don't mean the first year of marriage. It came a few years later. Like, how long was he like this? And anyway, I'll make this short. On that end, happened. I was married to him probably 9 years. And basically, a whole lot happened. Okay, it wasn't just he went to doctors and he's better. He didn't know he had it. I didn't know. His family didn't. He had been in the Air Force, and just a lot had happened. I mean, during the marriage, and just so I'm a very real person. I'm okay now. Now, 10 years ago, I might have talked about this for 3-4 minutes and I'm done. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of very real with you. Counseling, breathing exercises, another 5, 7, 8 years has gone by. Our child, I have one child from that marriage. So anyway, a lot of time has passed. It doesn't mean I never cry or upset or I'm mad or triggers. So I would go and tell you by the 4th year of marriage, he was going to hospitals and doctors and all that. And that continued for a while. Okay. And so maybe some people are like, well, why would that bother you now? Well, as I make that face, you've got to kind of get the whole picture. It began to affect my life, the home, It actually affected my church life, friends. I mean, everything. And as I'm talking this out right now, it pretty much affected my entire life because he wasn't able to keep a job.
Oh.
And I'm going to say this carefully. I know. And that's only one aspect of what I called the illness. And then I got the other end of the spectrum where doctors are like, well, what's wrong with him? I mean, it's just, so my entire life changed. And so then not long after I decided to, well, I was still married to him then, but what happened, and this is the God's truth, there was so much stress going on. I didn't like the job. I was working at a school. I was a bus driver part-time, and I was in school to finish college for like the third time, taking 2 classes. Okay, so I'm like, that was just, my son was not born then, by the way. And as I make this face, I was like 28, 29, I think years old. It was like way too much going on. And I remember like one day thinking, I am going to leave this job at the school. I was a teacher assistant because my mom could enjoy what she did, but I wasn't very happy. And I changed majors. I'll make it short. I changed majors, jobs. I think we ended up moving within a couple months. All kinds of stuff happened within 3 months. And I was not even 30 years old then, by the way. So I was like, okay, there's too much stress going on between the home, the doctors, him, my school. I was like, something's got to go. I didn't even like the major much anymore because I didn't like the job much. So why would I want to be? Now, I say all that now. I did homeschool my children 1 year. I have 2 children. I did end up homeschooling them, well, a year and a half, pandemic and after. But so all the education courses and things I learned was not a waste of time, and could use that some for my life. So anyway, I have to have a little humor. But yeah, a lot of things were stressful and hurtful, very hurtful because of things people said to me. Okay, I'm going to breathe now. Because a lot of people had a lot to say about my life.
Man, so it was like workplace bullying and stuff. Like, oh my God. I hate that type of like
Well, I hate to say it really wasn't the school where I worked about some workplace bullying. That was another county job. I worked for 4 or 5 counties in North Carolina. I'm very real. Yes. So anyway, maybe you can see a little now like, oh, well, no wonder she wanted to do writing, poetry, and music. So, but that was only one big thing that happened that took up not just a couple months, but a couple years, was learning how to help him with everything. I mean, medication. He changed jobs, and I won't get into all that right now. I want to say something. Okay, it was just, the bottom line is I'm being very real with you and blunt here. And remember, this can help some mom, stepmom, a teacher, anybody. It was way too much going on. And yes, at some point I did begin having some panic attacks. I didn't know it then. This is over 10 years ago now. And I'm like, breathing like I'm distressed. I've had it. I didn't know until a few years later that was really the panic attacks I was having. So, and obviously you may know about that, but it comes from anxiety. So it's like one thing calls another, that calls another. And that's only one big thing that happened besides me changing a few jobs. And then I changed majors in college as well, which was fine. I enjoyed that.
Don't worry, I did the same thing.
I had to be happy somewhere, so I'm going to have to do something different here. And so, yeah, the songwriting, well, like some of these, I've got 7, 8, or 9 notebooks, but I'll give you an example. All this, like you can tell, is not all a song, okay? These are my notes, like August 5th, 2020. But yeah, this is what I would do. And I'm just being real. No doctor, therapist, person, musician. Nobody said, Kimberly, what would help is if you do a journal, your song, or what happened in the Bible verse. It's just something I did. It was kind of like a journal entry every day, but it was more like a diary. And I'm a Christian as well. So I do verses, or some days I don't do a verse. It might be, hey, I heard Chris Tomlin on the radio. I'll go ahead and tell you I like Chris Tomlin. And Lauren Daigle, yes, I go ahead and give them a shout out. Some of their songs really got me through 4 or 5 years.
Nice.
So when they write, like, for example, 8 lines and just write their song out or the lyrics, it's not my song, it's theirs, but it helped me with my day. So anyway, writing is therapy, as some people say. I'm like, oh God, don't always say that, because you could turn that into money or fun or creativity or something.
Yeah, true. So I wanted to play a few of your songs on here while I have you on here. And with your permission, do I have your permission?
Yes.
So the one that you wanted to play, well, wanted me to play, was the one on you playing the piano. So I'm going to play that one after the ad. I hate it that they have ads. But okay.
If you know my name.
I'll play it from the beginning.
Hey everyone, it's Ford Music. I'm going to play a little bit of You Know My Name.
Wow. What inspired that?
Well, that particular song. So there's a song called He Knows My Name. There's 2 similar songs. I like them both. They're both gospel, of course. And one's by Tasha Cobbs, and then there's the other one's like Praise and Worship. They're both Christian songs. What inspired me is because I had to really think then, and I do this now too, really think about the goodness of God and all these changes, and I'm gonna call them issues. Okay, issues going on, changes and drama, whatever word you want to call it, chaos. I needed to have peace in my life. I needed to. I mean, no one really said, "Hey, you need that." I knew that inwardly, like I have got to come out of some mess. I've got to come out of, panic attacks, anxiety, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a calming assurance to me. I guess you could say a self inner reflection word, that knowing that that the goodness of God's on my life, even though all the chaos, confusion, or whatever, all kinds of stuff, financial things, car problems. Okay. I mean, I could list like 20 things, but all kinds of things were going on for not 1 or 2 years, but I'd say 7 to 9 years.
Oh, wow.
So, and I don't mean just the part where I mentioned with what I just told you about schizophrenia things from the family. I'm talking like foreclosure. It's a whole lot of things that happen.
Oh, wow. So are you still married to your ex? Well, I said ex-husband.
No.
Are you still married to him?
No, we are not together. No.
Oh.
Been divorced a few years now.
Oh, okay.
And that's the whole other thing I had to go through is dealing with the aftermath of how do you say, it's like, most people normally get married, think they're going to be with them forever unless they pass away or something like that. But I didn't know a lot of things that I know now. And then my son was, I don't know, 2 years old when we divorced, 2, maybe 3 years old. So yeah, there's just been a lot of changes and things. Now I also have a daughter, so I have 2 children.
Oh.
So my son's the older one, my daughter's young.
Nice. And there was another song you wanted me to play. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Okay.
I think it was this one, the road trip one. That one's the one you wanted me to play.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Let me make sure I got it in there.
If you were to ask me why did you do that, I'd say enough is enough. Someone had to get the job done. If you were to ask me why did you call them, I'd say I'm tired of this mess. They just need to admit and confess. With all the questions I get all the time, comes a habit to think in my mind because I did what I did. I did what I did. Because of all that I went through, I didn't think twice about what I should do because I did. I did what I did. If you were to ask me what are you doing, I wouldn't answer with a word. Because I just wanted to be heard. If you were to ask me,
so is that you playing too? Like you singing in that too?
I didn't play the guitar, so Steven's with me singing. It's a duet, really, but I did write all the lyrics, and he wrote the guitar part.
Oh wow, that's really good. What inspired this song?
Well, you just heard about 10 minutes of my life. That was part of it. Because I've got to be funny. I mean, I literally try to make this short and sweet. I wrote a few notes down because I've got to laugh. You heard me say, I'm tired of this mess in that song. Now, how many songwriters write that? I don't know, but I was like, I'm tired of changes, issues, drama, church questions, being judged, just everything. So I came up with that song. Well, it started to be like poetry. That was probably, at this point, that was at least 5 years ago.
Oh wow, that's a really good song, though.
I mean, yeah, the pandemic was going heavy, and that is not why I wrote that. Okay, it had already been leading up to before the pandemic got here about what happened to me.
I feel like a lot of people can relate to that song because I definitely was fed up around that time too.
I'd already been through quite a bit of traumatic things before 2020, and then a few more since then. So a few more have. So anyway, I believe it was, I'd have to look at the year. I'm like, what year was it? I know I was still working in the studio in 2020. It seems like it was done right at the new year, 2021. So we're talking 3 years ago now. But yes, why I wrote that, we'd be here a whole hour and make you laugh and cry. But honestly, you can hear some of the things I'm saying, like I'm tired of this mess. Because of all I went through and people are asking me questions, it was the most ridiculous questions. I breathe. I mean, some of them were funny and some were completely stupid and some were unthoughtful questions. Not always.
They were just asking you these questions.
Yes. Yes.
Oh wow.
Well, back then, I won't say too much legally from that standpoint. I'm going to breathe. Unfortunately, I had to handle some things with family, you could say. Well, let me put it like this. One was about 2 jobs and one was about a medical matter. So then I found myself, speaking with a few attorneys, and I'm like, oh my God. So yes, I would write letters to, well, not many letters, a couple letters to the Department of Veteran Affairs. Yes, I did.
Oh wow.
Written a few letters to, I don't mean the mayor. I'm talking about like to senators.
Oh, wow.
And then I didn't go tell people I know, like, here's what I told them. Like my Uncle Brian knows some of it because he used to work at a prison. I'm going to make you laugh. He was a security guard He was a security guard about 21 years. So, which is serious. I'm trying not to laugh, but he has a sense of humor. So we'd be exchanging prison stories with my life. And I'm like, I'm going to come up with this song. Like, I'm tired of this mess and things I went through. And then just ridiculous questions people would ask me. So I had to have some fun because I was very stressed. I am not going to lie to you. I was very stressed for 4 or 5 years. So I had to have a song to answer their questions and have fun. And I took that road trip. I've taken 8 music road trips in the last 5 years.
8?
In 4 states.
Oh, wow.
Well, 5 states. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia, 5 states.
Nice.
Yes. And of those, well, now I've got to add the one to Atlanta last year. My kids went with me. We're talking about 9 or 10 music trips pretty much. My children did not always go with me, but they have been on some. And I'm going to go ahead and humor you, make you laugh, inspire some women right now who are mothers or they want to be a mom. Let's see how you last on a trip with your children by yourself with no sitter for 3 to 12 hours.
How old are they?
And they are not babies.
They're not. Oh, man.
Well, now they are 7 and look at think here. One had a birthday, 7 and 9.
Oh, wow.
Okay, but imagine the years of ages. Well, some of them were 3 and 4 then, but oh God, my daughter's about to turn 8. Basically, for 5 years, they went with mommy sometimes on these road trips, and sometimes they didn't go because people at the church are like, well, I'm talking during the pandemic. What are you doing? Who's watching your children? So then I had other questions after this song was done.
Oh,
So believe me,
wow.
I got some more songs coming. Somebody in Nashville told me about 2 years ago. Now, this is funny. I'm going to make you laugh again because I'm a little hot because it's warm here and I'm getting all fired up now. Someone else told me I need to write a song called Because I Can. Now, I haven't got that far, but I have a lot of ideas. No joke. Like, who's watching your children? I'm getting that question like every 3 months from church ladies and everybody. Some of the music fans put it on Messenger to me on Facebook.
What? Oh, wow.
And sometimes it peed me off. I'm not going to curse. I'll be nice tonight, I promise. And I'm like, they're with me on the trip. They're not with a sitter. I mean, I didn't always have a good sitter. That was part of the trauma. That's part of
Man.
Oh, it's really not funny, but it's part of the stress, I should say.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. So
I can't believe they have the audacity to ask you questions like.
I could give you a list of 50 questions I've been asked between the ex-husband or the job or the kids or what I do with music. I had someone in Dunkin' Donuts. This isn't trauma. This is just funny. This is about 6 weeks ago. It was this year. And I was actually literally trying to sell him a CD. My kids were eating donuts and sitting there, and we're trying to get to church in a hurry. And I don't usually go sell CDs on Sunday. It was just funny. Excuse me. And then he goes, "Oh, you got CDs and you're on the radio. So do you have royalties?"
Oh, wow.
I never met the guy in my life. He goes, "I bet you got some good royalties." And I didn't answer his question because I don't want to be rude, but I'm like, it's really not their business. I got some more songs coming, so people better be careful what they ask me because it might be a song. So.
I can't wait. I can't wait to check them out. So do you tour or anything? I'm
not with a company, meaning on a bus or a band, but I definitely want to be getting there. Nice. Getting there because I had some very, I guess you could say, besides the serious things that have happened, I've had to wrap up things in like storage unit and just life the last 3 years. But if I'm able to get a band this year or next year, I'd be very happy. I'd be ready to go.
Nice. So my last and final question before I let you go, what advice would you give musicians who are in your situation, like doing what you do as an artist?
Well, I'm like, there'd be a lot of advice. If they're a mother, let me give this kind of a 2-part answer. If they're a mother and a writer, just be prepared for a little bit of judgment and condemnation. I mean, you're just
man.
have to make this laugh. Okay, because not everyone's going to be happy what the moms are doing, and I'm not saying like they have to do this full-time, part-time, or temporary, or 2 hours a week. Because literally, I'm trying to be funny, but it's true. I have done this, what I've been doing sometimes a few hours a week. And then there's some days like today I've had 3 interviews with music. So that doesn't usually happen. That's exciting. So just be ready for, as a mother and a writer, or the guitar player, they're writing songs, or I know Crystal White. I've never met her. I think she has 3 or 4 children, and I believe she homeschooled her children during the pandemic. She writes songs and she's on radio, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all her story. I haven't talked to her in over 2 years, but I remember it's just a lot of work. That's a lot. Because you're trying to juggle radio interviews, and then maybe you're doing writings, or you have things you got to do with your life, the bills, the children. And then the other part of this advice is, and this doesn't matter if they're single, divorced, or whatever, just musicians, motivate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I say this all the time, but I find in music that not everyone supports you, unfortunately. I don't mean money. I mean, hey, like, you're doing that. Why aren't you working a job? I'm like, so I'm going like this. There's some really good things, and then there's some that are really negative.
Yeah.
And sometimes complete strangers have, believe it or not, really encouraged me. And every now and then someone hands me a $20 bill. I'm going to hold up the CD. There's a studio copy. Not very often. That would be nice. Like, I'm not going to give you $3 for that, Kimberly. I'm going to give you 20. And I was like, oh, do you want change? You're like, no, keep it. I'm like, yes, thank God. So then things like that happen. You're like, wow. I mean, it can just be in the Walmart parking lot, or in the mall, the airport, of, wherever, or it doesn't have to be about CDs. I've also given out business cards in places.
Nice.
And then that part of it, to finish this, that part of it is very inspiring, where people like, hey, they really believed in me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I've been in Target. This really happened. And I was shopping and met a lady, and basically she goes and pulls up my songs on her phone on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, okay, I got you on the playlist. I'm like, yes, thank you. And she brings all 7 of them up.
Oh, wow.
Well, actually, there's 8 now, but I'm like, yes, I have her all 8 of them on there. So just motivate yourself, no matter what people say, if they believe in you or not.
Yes, this is really great advice. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for coming on my podcast today and chatting with me.
Thank you. Thank you, Brooke. I enjoyed meeting with you, talking to you.
You have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Hey everyone, thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Kimberly Ward. If you would like to check out her music, I have her website up, but you can go on her YouTube. It's Kimberly Ward, and hit that subscribe button and listen to her music, watch her videos. She's a great musician. She plays piano, and I love piano. So I hope y'all check out her music, and I hope y'all have a great day, and see you next time for the next interview. Bye.